Colin, I know we had some others on the list as well, including, I believe, Sarah. Um, should we wait a couple minutes?
Yeah, so Sarah is not going to be able to join us today. She might be joining remotely. Her
Okay.
daughter was in a car accident this morning.
Oh, no.
So she's at urgent care with the daughter right now. But
Okay.
I
Hope nothing
believe
too serious.
Chad, no, I don't think so. But you know how it is when you get
Yeah.
into a car accident, you want to get
Yeah.
checked out for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Chad should be joining us. And then I think, do you know if Jeremy is going to be here today?
You should. I wasn't informed otherwise.
Okay. And we're recording and the AI is on, so we should
Perfect.
be in good shape. Um, I
There's
know
Jeremy.
I owe you a few answers, by the way, Vince. I've got your email that you sent offering to create some accounts in bulk. If I get you a spreadsheet of people's, like, what information do you need to bulk create those accounts? Is it like brown username, email address?
Yeah, I have to go back to see. But yeah, it would mainly be email address, uh, is what I would need, and then what
Role,
groups
if they
they
wanted to.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what group. Um, they would need to
Okay.
be a part of, whether it's master campus, master projects, all the above.
Yeah, let me take a stab at that. So, Chad, I can pull a personnel list for facilities out of Plan On, and this way we can at least hit all the trades and operations, and like just make bulk accounts for as many people as we could think of. Get them into the right groups on day one.
Okay.
We'll see what we can do there. At the very least, we can send the invite out.
Yeah.
And then even if they miss the invite, the very act of logging in through single sign-on will assign them that role that we invited them in as. So
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
yeah, so I mean, obviously, if we send the invite out, we would want to communicate because it might hit their inbox and they might be like, "What's this?" Is this? It might say external on the in the subject line, and it would violate maybe everything internal as far as security of
Oh
accepting
yeah.
anything. But they can disregard, like I said, they could disregard that, and it should be fine.
Okay. No, that's
So
good to know.
yeah, that would help out with user access. It's kind of half the battle. In preparation for today, and then I'm going to do the same thing for tomorrow. I've created a bit of a guide that I'll share after today. Let me see how I can share my screen. There it is. Oof, there's a lot of toolbars in Zoom. Move this.
And they're never in the same spot. One's on top, one's on bottom, one's in the bottom right.
They like to change it too. So like every couple of months you log in and the buttons are changed and like
Exactly.
everything else.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, should be a Word document.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I put together a bit of like a training itinerary along with a preparation guide as well. There's areas that we'll support with on the prep side, but kind of part of our general user training is having the environment and things like search examples prepared ahead of time. It goes a long way in not only the flow of the system, but also preventing, any users from uh, kind of stepping on each other's toes during the training session. So I wanted today will be kind of like a two-part in parallel. I'll take us through a typical general user training and then also talk to some of the prep that's done as well. Before I jump into things, is there any questions ahead of time? You guys happy for me to jump into it?
think you should be okay to get started. We're recording, and I made sure
Okay,
the AI is on, so I think we should be good.
sounds
So,
good.
one question, Vincent, are we still in a test environment or are we in our live and pre-go live environment?
At the moment, we're in the test environment,
Okay.
which will be this URL. We don't have a production yet. We would be promoting to production after we complete the revision consolidation.
Okay.
Um, so do we have the training scheduled yet that
For
you would be
our end
delivering?
users,
Yeah.
no, not yet, but it'll probably be the first or second week of June. So we've got a
Okay.
little bit of time.
Okay. So with that in mind, then we're shooting to basically, not basically, we should have everything done in production. But I just kind of put this down as a just in case. So the first part of the prep is really your environment setup. If you're going to have users logging in through single sign-on, you need to make sure that if there are already like security groups internally from an Active Directory perspective, that those users are granted access. They're not going to be rejected by your administrators or by your Active Directory security. Really, if they're not able to go in and follow along, in the system and um, the training session is designed to be interactive. We want everyone to be searching along with us, to be referencing artifacts with us, navigating with us. If it turns more into a demonstration, you know, you're going to have to refresh them and do another training session. It's just the reality of it. So making sure that users are going to have access through single sign-on is important, and this can be just verified through your IT team to make sure that there isn't no if there's like specific security groups where users have to be added to a application group for RedEye. I don't recall that being in
I
place,
think
but
we're
I think
good. Yeah, I think
yeah,
everybody on campus should at least be able to sign in
perfect.
and get an account, but they'll be in
Awesome.
that training and onboarding group.
Awesome. So we'll have that, and then we were just talking about it. When you send me that list, we'll invite, and Accruent can take ownership and Hagerman can take ownership. We'll invite the users and add them to the appropriate group. And then we'll also include this training group as well. We're going to create an end user training group. And this is the purpose of this group is where we have training artifacts in the system that will eventually purge prior to go live. Really, right after training, we'll have them gone. Um, and those training artifacts we will name kind of similar to testing. Ideally, we would name them after each potential trainee. And that way, when we get to certain sections of the training session, the user can find their training artifact, reference that, and then if they're doing markups or anything in training, they're not unintentionally working off the same drawing that someone else is working on, which the system allows. But from a training perspective, if you submit a markup, Colin, and I'm submitting a markup in parallel, both markups would be there, but mine might be the latest version because I submitted mine like a second later, and it might be perceived on your end like whatever you did didn't work. So we just try to prevent that from happening. It's just a
Gotcha.
cleaner
Okay.
experience that I've unfortunately been on the other end of early on in my career. So uh, that's the purpose of the training artifacts. And so we would have that all set up again for you. If we get a list of trainees, then we can just upload them, upload the files, and then I'll have a few extra as well. It always happens that someone attends training sessions that you weren't planning for or wasn't part of the list. And so we'll have some that are like spare that you could just go in and assign to any of those extra users. Something I don't have here is device. For this session, the training is going to be on the web application. So laptop, PC. Um, this is important because if a user shows up with a mobile device, they technically can access it through like Safari or Chrome on a tablet, but the web application is not optimized for mobile, like touch gestures and mobile scrolling. That's why we have native applications. for both Android and iOS. And those are usually what we typically do is anyone who wants to train on the mobile device, we would use that we would do a follow-up session. We would require everyone to train on the web application first. And then the follow-up for mobile is like a 30-minute session. It's just kind of training on the UI. It's a little bit different, but all the same features outside of like administrative functionality.
So Sarah, when we train our operations folks, I think it will be a primarily mobile focused training. You know, if you're thinking about like what the fire techs and Div 1 need out in the field, it's mostly going to be searching for documents via the iOS app. So we can target that.
Guys, I hate to bust in. Colin knows I'm sitting in the parking lot at an urgent care with my kid. And did I miss like the way to log in? I have the IP address and are you guys logging in actively and following along? I've been listening to Zoom. I'm just trying to catch myself up. I missed the first couple minutes. Are you guys actually logging
We
in?
haven't. We will be. We haven't yet. I'm just going through the guide at the moment.
Okay. So I haven't missed it, and that's
no.
Okay, I'll just continue to follow along. Sorry, everybody. Thank you.
No, you're okay.
It's okay. Life
And
happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got it recorded too. So if you need to log off, obviously family's more important, and we can always schedule a follow-up as well to go over anything that you might have missed. It's not a problem.
Dear, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. So speaking of login, with us being in production, it'll probably be this URL that we'll have everyone navigate to. And really kind of step one is getting users to open up a web browser and then navigating to the production URL, which will take them to this red screen where we would have, since we have the invite sent out, they would just need to enter in their Brown email addresses. Then single sign-on should be enabled. And then it will, they'll log in, authenticate, and then they'd be granted the roles and permissions that we initially issued.
But Vince, there's no notification or anything that tells the user like, hey, this has been created for you or anything, right?
No, not outside of the email invite.
Okay.
You would basically just be granted it. But that's kind of the next step is verifying what access users have.
Perfect.
So we probably should not send out those invites until we are in production, right? This way there's no confusion.
Yeah, we technically can't.
Oh, okay. Even better.
Yeah, so because I don't have an environment to invite them to, but you're correct. Yeah, we wouldn't want to. Ideally, we wouldn't want your users outside of the 3 or 4 of you to even know that there was a test environment.
Yes, okay. I wanted to make sure of that.
So users would log in, register their accounts, and then they'd be redirected to a page like this where it would have Brown in the top left. So I usually would have users verify. You see Brown University in the top left with the logo. You see the blue banner up top. And then the last validation would be for them to kind of click enter, see how many artifacts are returned. And what we're trying to check is to make sure that there wasn't anyone that we missed on the invite. Because if we missed them in the invite, then they would only see this onboarding, which would probably have, 0 or a very small number of artifacts. Now, good news is I can be behind the scenes helping with anyone who needs account access, and so can Jeremy, where we've got ways of being able to expand access really quickly. So, and it happens in every training session. These 4 individuals can only see 4 artifacts. Okay, what's the reason why? All right, let's go and grant you access to these groups, and you should be good to go moving forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit of having both of us on the call, as Vince can continue to talk and I can troubleshoot those or vice versa, right?
Yeah, so I think when we do the trainings, and again, they'll be targeted kind of brown lead trainings. If we could have one of you guys, at least one of you remote, we'll try to give you as much of a heads up as we can, just to be able to troubleshoot access issues.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I can definitely make ourselves available.
So let's try to get some dates set in stone, Sarah. I mean, commencement's the 24th, 25th. People are going to be tied up for a week or two after. We're probably looking at that first week in June, but it'd be good to at least send out some dates to some users and start to get people, signing up.
Okay.
So the other bit of prep I do is around search. So I like to have quite a few search examples set up prior to delivering the training. We have, and I'll go through like kind of all the search stuff here in a minute, but just to close out kind of the last bit of prep, we have simple search, which is like your basic keyword search that could be with or without wildcards, depending on if you've got multi-values or not. And so I would have it set up in a progression to kind of demonstrate to the user that, for simple search, you can search off of one value. This is how the fundamentals of search work. It's going to return your list. Everyone gets that pretty easily. Naturally, the next question will be, well, can I have more than one value? And the answer is yes. And I'd add more than one value. And then that would take me to highlighting that we have wildcards in the system, in particular, double quotes and the and symbol, which both help to kind of further refine your search results. So I've got examples here that I've done during testing, but these may or may not be relevant to your end users. You might want to change these searches so that it's a little bit more relevant to whoever it is that you're delivering training to. But I would have, for simple search, I usually have 2 or 3.
Yeah, we can definitely start off with the simple search examples similar to what you have, Vincent. Um, I was also thinking of Oscar and I almost daily receive email requests for stuff out of Meridian. So I
Yep,
was thinking of putting together just like a one-page list of sample email requests that we get from project managers, from somebody in operations, from an outside vendor,
that'd be
um,
great.
so they can actually search based on what they actually use every day.
Yep,
I think
I think
that's a great
that
idea, Chad. Have something like hey, this is how you would search Meridian. This is what it equals in RedEye. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I had a question. The simple search, would that just go on to the title of the document, or is that like within the document as well?
no, it's going to be all metadata properties that are been brought across during the migration. So that's title, number, discipline, document type. There's a bunch of values there. So it's searching across all metadata properties.
Property,
Uh,
asset, pretty much
yeah,
everything.
I'll uh, I'll ex I'll expand on that once we get into search. I just kind of wanted to call
Okay.
out what else I have prepped ahead of time. Um, I'll come back to here to OCR and advanced filtered search as well. So once you log in, the next portion of the end user training before we jump into search, which is kind of where the meat and potatoes of the session is going to be. Uh, I will take users to kind of give them a bit of a lay of the land, and I'll start by having them update their profile. I don't go through the whole profile section, but there's 2 areas in particular that I call out that relate to dates and date formats and time zones. And so I direct users to go up to the top right where their user account can be accessed. And then in the drop down, the first option at the top is my profile, and that will take them to their profile. Now, again, there's a few tabs here. I don't go over all of these during the session. I instead kind of focus on 2 areas that are going to be kind of important to what they see in the system, which is in the preferences section. So get the user to click preferences. And the two areas are time zone and date format. Now this might have auto selected correctly for you, but just to make sure, every event within RedEye from a change management perspective, anytime a drawing is reviewed or approved in the system, it generates history or a new revision, and that has a date and time associated to it. And so uh, just to make sure that the time zones are all correct and that the date format doesn't cause any confusion, just get the user to confirm the format that they like and to make sure the time zone aligns with what they are currently in.
Is there a
And
way to
then
default that?
I think it does default. What is yours?
Eastern Standard. And I mean, I think the date format's fine, month, day, year.
Yeah. So yours currently says Eastern Standard.
Uh,
It's
well,
going to be probably like New York or
let me
something.
check.
Yeah.
Mine currently says Australia, Brisbane.
Does it? That's not good.
Yeah, is there a way to default that for the whole bucket?
There is not. So on an account by account basis. So you probably,
Yes, mine's Australia, Brisbane too.
yeah.
Is
That's
there a
why
way
I
to
had.
bulk edit these? So like once we invite people, or do people have to set it themselves?
Um,
Even the language, like English AU should be English US, that kind of thing.
I would bet assume that this is all based off where the server's located. Each cloud instance probably has something unique, whether you're in the, depending on which one you're looking at, right? Because there's two instances, right, Vince? Are there two
yeah,
red eye? Sorry.
there is. I don't know off the top of my head what this is being pulled from, to be honest. I think it's potentially on the account. I'll double check on that to see if
But
they're in
I think that's
registration.
another one of those things it's a system default, not a bucket default, right? So like you changed it would change it for every default inside red eye, not just
Yeah,
brown.
yeah,
Might be a good change request then. Maybe if we can add that to our list, Vince, of,
Yep.
if you think about like any application that does bulk user administration, you're asking a bunch of trades guys to get in and pick their default date
yeah,
format and language. And like, you got to make it as easy as possible.
yeah. It's part of the reason why I go there first.
Yeah.
Because once you set it once, you don't have to set it again. So it retains it. But yes. And then the user pushes save, and then moving forward, that should all be quite accurate. I'm going to switch mine back.
And I assume that when we're doing the training, we should, for our default dashboard, we should switch it to user user dashboard and not be in admin dashboard, correct?
Doesn't make too much of a difference. I don't train on the dashboard. Your general users aren't going to use the dashboard as much.
Okay.
It's really a screen, I think, more for administrators and really for system owners that might want to keep a track of like recent activity or um, yeah, I would say it's an area of the system that's less like, commonly used.
Okay.
So for general user, for sure, they're not going to be the area, they're not going to care about metadata quality scores as much. And that's kind of some of the information that's presented, which fields are missing values. And then the others is like reviews and approvals, or like anything that's been assigned to you. For your general user, they're going to be using the system to search and reference. So less of a need.
Okay.
And really just the users who have admin privileges can see the admin dashboard.
Right.
So the next one is I just briefly touched on notifications that in application notifications throughout the system, if you are invited to a group or assigned a role within the application to perform a task, anytime stuff like that happens, you get notified in the application along with an email notification as well. So if you were to log in and see a 1 or a 2 next to this bell, you can just click the bell to get the drop down and see what that assignment is. There's nothing in there right now because we've just logged in. And to the left of that is the access to our help desk. So if you select this, this should take you to the Accruent help desk. I think in test right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link directly to the user guides. Probably better to
It can be tough to find the Zoom chat
Yeah.
window if you're sharing. Just email it to us afterwards.
Yeah, I'll email this to you afterwards. I've got a recap. So in the help guide, there's links to all the sections for the general user training.
Oh, good. Okay.
So this is probably what the users would go off of anyways. And then the last item with regards to support is access to our live chat. So this goes to, it's got an initial like filter, like what it is, what's your issue. So you enter in your email, the subject. It would give you a drop down list of what's your issue, including an other where you want to just talk to a product support individual. And then the response time there is, I believe, within an hour. They'll respond to you via email and reach out and support you.
I think most of our support will at least start in-house. I think like a lot of people's questions will be something that we can hit quickly, but it's interesting. Like we don't really have a model today where we direct people to use an outside, support avenue. I'm not opposed to it. I just think it would be it's not something people are used to.
Yep. The way our product support team, like if you have a support request that's related to access, they're gonna redirect you. They'll have the names upon go live of all your administrators, and they'll share. These are your administrators. Please reach out to them to get invited to or access to the appropriate groups. The time where our team would step in is if it's more like system related. But yeah, it's probably good to have protocol kind of in place that you can communicate to your users if they've got issues. Then and if you've got a support team on your end that you would like for us to kind of share information with, then we can do that. Like when to reach out to RedEye versus when to have that internally, or you could just have the user use our support for now.
Yeah, actually, just for information, I just clicked on the question mark icon, and I got a single sign-on error for Salesforce.
Yeah, I think that's because this is a test environment.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's public. These links will take you there.
Okay.
And then that should be active in production. So after you get through that, then redirect the user over to the left-hand part of the page where it says Brown University. And this is where I'll define terminology. It's something you can choose to do or not do. I think it helps because words like bucket, group, and artifact aren't, they can mean different things to different individuals, or could be a bit unique to RedEye. So I just explained that we've got 3 words within RedEye that we use quite often. You'll hear me throughout today's session using them. The first one is bucket. You can think of the bucket as the master folder for all of Brown University. It's where all data lives, all of the configuration, all the users. Sub-level to that is groups, and a group is kind of like a tag that's associated with a subset of data. And so and this is where you could highlight the groups that we've currently got configured. And you can do that by going to the search tab. And then in the search tab, you can click the search bar and one of the top filters is group. And then you can click the drop down. Now, something to keep in mind, got two masters building. Something to keep in mind is that if we invite users to only certain groups, not everybody's going to see the same thing. So just important to kind of call that out. But yeah, so group is a tag associated with a subset of data, which will control who can see what. And there's also additional roles and responsibilities within groups that can grant users the ability to edit or review drawings or documents within the system at certain times. I usually keep it very, very short and simple at this level for general user. You don't want to jump into workflows and stuff. It could make users feel a bit overwhelmed. And then the last term is artifact. For that, the users can follow along. I would have them just do a blank search just by pushing enter and then clicking any preview in the search page, which would take them to an artifact. And I would use this screen to explain what an artifact is. So an artifact within RedEye is really comprised of three things. It's the latest version of a drawing or document or media file. It includes all metadata, attributes, or properties that we brought across as part of this migration project. So those could be discipline, building, document class, subclass. And this metadata is how you're going to use, how you're going to search and find the information. And then the last piece of an artifact is the revision history too. So if the artifact you're looking at has 3 different revisions, those would all be stacked together and represent one artifact. That's how I explain it. If there is a simpler way that you come up with, then by all means. But now that we've got that done, when I use the word artifact, I think users will know what it is that I'm talking about. And so from there, I'll highlight the navigation bar. So under the bucket, we've got our navigation bar starting with search, which is usually the first page that users land on. We'll be spending most of the training session in search. And then under search, we've got our virtual folders, which we'll touch on here in a few minutes. And then there's a few tabs for the more advanced users who would be interacting with RedEye beyond search, such as groups, where you can manage groups, update groups, create groups, drafting for users who might be doing native file updates, and approvals for those users who might have responsibilities to review and approve any changes. Now, users that you're inviting into the system as a group user for your general users are probably not going to have this upload tab because we've got a restriction in place. So just keep that in mind if a user raises their hand and says, oh, we don't have that upload tab. That's the reason why. So now we segue into search, starting with simple search. And before I jump into search, I highlight the favorites and recents. So there is the ability for users to create shortcuts, and that can be through your favorites or anything that you've recently opened up, made changes to, looked at, would show up in your recents. And so to favorite an artifact, you can just push enter to do a general search. And then on the far right of your search results, you'll see the star icon. You can just click that icon, and that will pin those artifacts to your favorite section. So if I were to clear my search, now in my favorites, I've got those artifacts there. They'll always be there. So I can quickly access them in the future if I need to. And then to remove them, I would just click that star again. There's three ways to perform search. We'll go through all three. There's no necessarily right way or wrong way. It's just whatever is more familiar and easier for you. Starting with just a basic simple search where you're putting in keywords into the search bar. You can enter a value, and then RedEye is going to search all the artifacts that you have access to and all the fields for those artifacts. So if this word riser is in the title, the number, the file name, discipline, if it finds that value anywhere, it's going to return those artifacts in your search results. So it's a very broad way of searching. But similar to Google or Yahoo, you can add multiple values. So if I were to add diagram, now you'll see that expanded my search from just over 1,000 to just under 3,000. And that's because it's currently returning anything that's matches on riser or diagram. But we do have different ways to sort your results. So by default, relevance up here in the top right is selected, and that will return those that match on more than one value up to the top. Now, if I only wanted to return search results that had both riser and diagram, then I can leverage wildcards in our search. Those wildcards would be like double quotes. I can put quotes around those two values. And if I do that, then it's going to return any artifact that has a riser diagram together. See, that cut my results down to 828. If I wanted to return anything that matches, that has riser and diagram, but maybe not necessarily together, then I can use the ampersand. And you'll see that that's changed that logic from or to and. So quotes and the ampersand are really the only two wildcards. So I've got those called out here kind of in the notes. So I would typically go through a couple examples. If you've got a numbering convention in place, I'll usually throw one of those in as well. It may or may not be, relevant, but you can use a numbering convention to kind of build out a filter. This is usually only practical for those who are familiar with a convention. And then this would naturally segue into the more field-focused or filtered searching. So rather than searching all fields, users could select different filters and build out a search criteria.
I think one of the main examples that we want to show, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the main examples we want to show is probably starting with a building. Like most users will know what building this project is in, and then they'll either type in the project number or the discipline or the document type. Don't a lot of users, you think building would be the first thing they'd start with, Chad? Building or planning number?
Yeah, probably building and then if they know the planning number, they'll go for that.
Okay.
The other big one would be and it's probably a more complicated search, but the other thing would be O&M manual or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Document class.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I do for filters, because we have our out-of-the-box filters and the custom ones that we configured as part of this project, my goal during training is to get users to those custom fields as quickly as possible, because that's the fields that they're going to be probably most familiar with. And those are the ones that mean the most, like building, document, class. So what I would do is I would have them clear their search. It's really important to get users in a routine of clearing their search because it helps to kind of prevent any frustrations of having previous criteria or parameters in place. So it's a good kind of muscle memory thing to do. So constantly, all right, let's clear our search. Now to access our filters, we'll click the search bar. We'll get this drop down. Going kind of top down, we've got our out of the box filters, which are going to be the group, number, and title. We'll touch on OCR content here in just a few minutes. But for now, I wanted to take all the users to the metadata filter, which is where all of the Brown specific fields and properties are going to live. And you'll see that first filter that comes up is building. So we can honestly create that first search parameter right from here. I've got a few examples on my end, but do you have a common building that would be a good example for us to use?
I don't know, maybe geochem.
It was geochem.
Yes.
So I start with them having just one filter, and then I work my way up to adding more. So right away, you can segregate your geochem, all the information that's related to that building. I still always have access to the search bar up top. So if I wanted to throw in a few values in there, then I could do that. But it is still returning quite a few results. So I might want to add an additional filter. To do that, I would just click the plus symbol next to my building value, and it's basically going to duplicate that. And then I can change that bottom filter to, let's say, discipline. I'll get a new drop-down list of values. And so from here, if I only wanted to focus in on electrical, then I can select those electrical discipline. And then I can push enter or click the blue search button. And that refined it down to just over 300. Now, once I have, if there is a set of search criteria parameters that I'm going to be using quite often, building discipline, building document class, I can set those search parameters up in a search, execute my search, and then save that criteria for future use. So I don't have to rebuild that structure every time. So if this is, if I'm always searching out building and discipline, then I could save this by clicking the save button next to the search bar. Give it a name. Typically, we'll name it after the filters or the fields. I'll save that search, and you'll see it's added it to my saved search list on my left-hand navigation bar. And now I could actually clear my search, and let's pretend I've just logged in for the day and I'm wanting to do another building discipline search. I can just click that save search. It's going to populate those filters for me. And I could go into view criteria and make edit, tweak that if I wanted to. If I wanted to change this to mechanical, can make that update.
Now, when you edit a save search, it does not change it. You'd have to resave it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. But what also I can do with save search, if I hover my cursor over it, over the name, I've got the 3 vertical dots to the right. I can select that, and I've got 3 options. I can remove it if I'm done with that, or I can generate a URL link, which I can share with other users. To prove this, if I'm delivering this virtually, I would usually generate the link and pop it into the chat if I could find it. Just showing users that they can click that link and see the same search that I just did. For your operations team, something to call out is that you could generate a QRL or a QR code for the Save Search, and then there's a QR code reader in the search bar for the mobile application, and they can just scan the QR code to pull up those results.
So if you have the mobile app installed, I mean, that might be a good thing for us to demo, even just as a really high level, without going too much into mobile. If we've got the mobile app installed and we scan that on a phone with the mobile app installed, it should open the mobile app to that search.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like
You
that.
should be able to do it just from you might be able to do it just from your camera.
Something we'll definitely want to show Sarah. And then as we invite people to those mobile focus sessions, we'll dive deeper into it.
Vincent, quick question. If, say, a project manager creates the URL and they email it to a vendor that is not yet in RedEye, will one of us admins get some kind of notification that somebody's that doesn't have an account is trying to access a URL, or how will we know that we need to create an account for them?
Well, they won't be able to log in, so they would have to. That would be a good tell. So they would click the link. It would take them to a login page to authenticate. If they don't have a login, then they'd probably reach back out to you. There's nothing that's automated on the RedEye side to let you know that they're trying to access it or they don't have an account. But
Okay.
the user would not be able to access it. They would need to first get granted in, and then the search is dynamic. So if it's that this URL is unique to the search parameters, if I have access to the whole bucket and I create this Save Search URL and then I share it with Jeremy, and Jeremy only has access to a subset of data, like 2 or 3 groups, then his results will be directly related to whatever he's actually able to see. So he's not going to see everything potentially that I can see because he hasn't been granted access to everything.
Okay.
And there's nothing telling you like, hey, this stuff's been your view's been restricted or anything like that, right? Like
Yeah.
You just have to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a good thing you could do is if you had mentioned that most users are going to start off with building and then search off maybe document class or something, having that as your example training. Have users build out that search criteria, and then in the search or in the training session, they could create that Save Search for themselves. So yeah, again, I would probably show 2 or 3 examples in the filtered search and then have some time, 5-10 minutes set aside for users to kind of play around with search, get familiar with a filtered search, and um, yeah, just to kind of get comfortable with it. The other thing I'll call out is the different ways that you can the different logic for the filters. So if I wanted to, right now I'm returning anything that is in this building and is a drawing document class. If I wanted to, for instance, search for anything in this building that's not a drawing, then I could change this must contain to a must not contain. If I wanted to return anything that's a drawing or say technical, and I can switch that logic to should contain, and that basically turns it into an or. It turns those 2 filters into kind of like an or statement. So it's going to return anything that is in this building and is either a drawing or a technical document. So in our itinerary, we've done introductions, SSO, core concepts, simple, advanced. Then my next two are going to be I'd focus in on OCR searching. So before I do OCR search, I'm going to want to clear my search. And I'd start by defining and explaining what OCR is as simple as possible. Most of your general users won't know what OCR stands for. So I would have everyone click the drop down. I'd hover my cursor over OCR and say that OCR stands for optical character recognition. And basically what that means is every file that generates a preview and gets uploaded to RedEye, our application will try to find and extract any text that's in that image. And then once it's found and extracted, that can become searchable. So where that can be valuable is we've got quite a bit of metadata that we brought across from the past system for number and title and discipline, but there might be other content within the drawing or document itself that could be valuable to search off of, like addresses, old work order numbers, legacy drawing numbers, details in the title that we might not have, equipment numbers, things like that. And that's where the OCR filter can provide some value. This one you can't really wing. You kind of have to have these examples ready to go. I've got a few that I've already created. So let me get the OCR. Here we go. So I usually try to find a project number as a good example. So a way to do this is I click my drop-down filters, select OCR content, and then put the value. And then just to show that this value was found inside the actual preview, I would navigate to that artifact by clicking the preview. And then I would zoom in on the title block to show that project number value in the preview. And then highlight that, look, in the number in the title, that 388 or that 388-1 isn't anywhere to be found. RedEye found it because it was extracted and processed during the upload. Another example I have, I think this one returned quite a few results, was Nelson Fitness Center. This one. Yeah, it works the same as simple search too, where you can put keyword or quotes around it. There we go. Nelson Fitness Center. Didn't necessarily have it in the metadata, but it was in the document itself. So you can get creative with OCR filters if there's different examples of parts. The way I usually build mine out, I just type a letter, find out, and then I go into one of the drawings and try to find a value that doesn't live in the metadata, but so this one's CBI Consulting. Try that. Any questions on the OCR or filtered search?
I guess we should mention to people that the OCR for RedEye is only for the first 100 pages of a document, correct?
For document, only the first 10
10. Okay.
for the search page. So once you get into the artifact, then you can search further.
Right.
So if I were to have page 200,
And that's reasonable too. I mean, like most of the things that people are going to want to search on is in a title block or a heading page, or you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. And most of our O&Ms that came out of Meridian at least are all OCR'd in Adobe. So before
Okay.
uploading to Meridian.
So they should have, yeah, all of that there.
Yeah.
And then once you're in here, it'll take you to the page. So that's for your drawings, it's not going to highlight it on the drawing, but in the documents, it'll take you to
Yeah.
the actual page.
The
Yeah.
the OCR, would that only find, I guess, words within like a document or a CAD file? Like, would it work with like a Revit file?
It the Revit file is a little different because it's going to use a different viewer. It's going to be an actual, we have a 3D, use Autodesk Forge. Let me see. Do we have 3D models? Got a few in here. Here's your Revit file. Let's take a look. So I would say the answer is no, because the preview is it's using a different tool.
Okay.
I think this would just be for those 2D rendered files.
And it looks like the tools are like similar to like Forma.
Yeah, I haven't worked with. I know that this is Autodesk Forge. Some of the tools here got Pan. You can do first person. Then you've
Yeah, I
got
think Forge is now Forma in
okay.
Autodesk. Yeah, so
Then yeah, it's probably the same. Go full screen with it.
Ooh.
Refresh some of these errors. So yeah, on the OCR, after that kind of concludes the filtered search piece. Like I said, some of these out of box number title group, I focus more on the custom filters. If a user has a question around searching off of status or something that involves the others, then I'll draw attention to that. But typically, most of your users are going to want to focus in on these more custom fields. And then it's a natural segue into the virtual folders at that point. So again, have using clear the search. And then basically the virtual folders, if you're used to clicking through a folder and subfolder, then building out these filters might be a bit foreign. So we've also got the virtual folder feature, which lives underneath the search bar or underneath the search tab. And for any field that has like a predefined list, we can group fields together to kind of build out that click-through folder experience. So right now we've got building discipline as two virtual folders. If I click the vertical dots to the right, there might be an additional group that I've put together. So we've got building, document class, subdocument class. The way this works is I would click the folder icon and that would expand all of my buildings. And then from there, if there's a particular building that I'm wanting to search off of, I would select that building and it basically builds my filtered search for me. Now, if I wanted to add a discipline, I can click the arrow to the left of that building. It'll present a drop down of all the available disciplines. And then I can click the discipline value and it will add that value to my search criteria.
That's going to be a huge bulk of how people use this, I think, is just being able to get to the discipline and then start to, OCR, document title.
Do you remember how many building values we had?
There are.
To answer that question, I'm sorry.
About how many active properties we have. We have like 300 or so active properties, maybe a little bit less than 300. So those include some, sheds and stuff.
Yep.
Upper 200s, 270 maybe. That sound right?
Okay, I think we've got them all here. All right. The only reason why I asked is because there is a limit in this section of values that'll be presented. I think it's 2000. Just making sure there's nothing cut off here.
Mm-hmm.
Early looks appear to be, it's okay. I'll double check that. So we've got two folder groups. If there is any additional, that would be if we want to set one up for just document class, document subclass, or just discipline, if there's some other groupings that we don't have here, then let me know before training. We can easily, it takes just a minute or two to configure those.
I think that'll be a really good place to start. Once we start to get some feedback, we can see if there's any more we want to create, but I think we keep it simple on day one.
Sounds good. All right.
There's no way to list them alphabetically, right?
What was that question?
There's no way to list them alphabetically, right? They're all by number.
They are, it is sorted alphanumerically, but because the number is part of the value, it's going numerically at the moment. So in order to do it alphabetically, we would have to adjust this value to where it's the name and then the number after.
Do you do a control F here? Like I assume you could
You
do
can.
control F, Nelson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That might be a good workaround.
Yep. And then if there's something cut off, you can hover your cursor over it. It tells you the value.
That's what I was just going to say. You can't expand that.
No, it's in our requests to be able to pull this across. So after virtual folders, that pretty much closes off the different methods of search. I then would segue into search views. So we've covered OCR, visualize metadata. Now I go into how you sort and view your search results. So you're going to want the user to have search results. So I would have them clear and then push just a blank search to return everything. And then take their attention to the right part of the screen. This first drop down is the way I can sort my results. So the first one is relevance. That's the one that's going to be set by default. It's going to return anything that matches on, the best match to the values that you've got in your criteria. And then further refining that by anything that's most recently active is going to be put up to the top. If I only wanted to search my results off of activity date, going latest to oldest, I could click timestamp. If I wanted to go oldest to latest, I would just click timestamp again and it will shuffle it that way. If I wanted to sort off number or title, I can do that alphanumerically just by selecting number. And same with title. So just a couple seconds on sorting, not too much time. Then I'll take the user to the right of the sorting dropdown, which is where our search views. The view that everyone should be looking at is the list view. Somebody have a question?
I was just saying something about that. That's artifact number you're referring to, right? In the relevance.
Oh, yes, yes. It's going
It
to be
might be worthwhile just to point out when you see number, that's not referring to like thing.
right. I would say in this instance, right now, what did we map it to? Either the file, I think we mapped it to the file name minus extension, or I'll have to go back in and verify what that is in Meridian. I think it's the title is the description for Meridian.
Yeah, I think it's the document number is what it matches
Document.
to. I think.
Then on search views, so just calling out that list view is what you're currently looking at. You got the preview, some metadata, group information, and status information. If I wanted to focus more on the preview itself, then I could switch to grid. It's going to have less results in my, if I'm on a desktop computer, it's going to have less results, but it's more focused on the drawing itself, on the preview itself. Where grid view is quite useful is on the mobile application. It presents a bit better, especially on like an iPad or a Samsung tablet. If I care more about the metadata and I want to try to maximize how many results are in one screen, then I can go to a table view. And in the table view, I can customize which columns or fields are presented in my search results. The way to customize that is once I'm in table view, next to that selection, there's a columns button. I can select columns, and this is where I can select or deselect different fields to be presented, including getting rid of the thumbnail altogether. Now, something important to note is that the way to navigate to an artifact is either through the thumbnail or the number. So you need one of those to be present. Otherwise, a user, they can see their search results, but they're not going to be able to click on anything to get to the artifact. So I would have some kind of criteria, some kind of relevant, parameters here that I'd want to get placed. That could maybe be building and then discipline. Maybe status. But we have site too. So you can have those, and then you can drag your columns in the selected to reorder them. And it goes top down will be left, right. And then once you've got your selected columns, you can click update. And now anytime I go to the column view, it's going to have these fields selected for me in my search results. So you can see I get much more results in my search. And then with these columns, I can sort them alphanumerically by just clicking the column header.
Can you default which view you prefer?
Yep, absolutely. So in your search view drop down, you'll see the bottom option is default view. And this is where you can set the view to table if you'd like, or grid.
And it remembers my table?
Yep, every time.
Okay.
Yep. There's one other view for map view, but we don't have the GIS data or like lat long coordinates currently configured or that data in place. So users wouldn't be able to search off the map at this moment.
I don't even think we'll mention it. I think during,
Yeah.
we'll say, hey, as at an additional phase, we'll be bringing in, my idea is to be a little bi-directional here. I think if we do a saved search for every building, we could link, on our GIS map, we're going to link to that building's files. I think that'll be like really useful for people at FM. Just link into a safe search for that building. And then I think we'll start to have some of that bi-directional, because we'd have to go and attribute a latitude and longitude for every single document. That's going to take some time. That'll be down the road.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be pretty much a lat long for every building. So like a point geometry data that we could do. There's ways to kind of do that in bulk too, but I think for right now, as a first phase, leave the map out.
Yeah, down the road for sure.
But definitely good to at least call out that it's a phase 2 thing. So that way users aren't, naturally they'll say, what's this?
Yeah.
And it'll be brought up. So, all right, so that takes care of viewing options. From there, I'm going to segue into getting a user to go to the artifact page and start highlighting the artifact page. So this is where I'd have users search for their training artifact. So I'd have them click clear and then type in their first name. I should have a training artifact for everybody that's in this session. I say that except for myself. But I do have one for, I'll just go ahead and use yours, Chad. Didn't realize there was going to be so many Chads that show up here. I have the first and last name. I'm just going to put training R. There we go. So to prevent that, we could always have it named after their email address instead, just to make it easier for users to find their artifact. And then once they found the artifact, we'll have the user click it by clicking the preview, and this will take them to the artifact page. Similar to when they first logged in, I give them a bit of a lay of the land, starting kind of in the top left. You've got your artifact number and title. Underneath that, you've got the list of groups that this artifact belongs to. And then to the right, the top right of the preview, you've got your status, where this artifact currently is at. So by default, I'm being presented the latest version. So if this artifact was in a workflow being reviewed, I would be able to see that from this screen. Under the status is my report. This is where I can report any issues to the administrators. So if I click report, you'll see that there's already a few issues that have been reported actually by the system upon upload. So right now it's calling out some missing font files and plot styles. That happens automatically. But if there was a different issue, like let's say the preview had an error, there was actually no image that was generated, I can report that back to the administrator who could then go back in and refresh it and fix it.
Hey,
So
Vince.
Uh-huh.
Oscar is trying to search for artifacts right now. Did we need to add him to? I don't know if we've created those groups yet.
He's probably in onboarding only. So let me grant him access. No, I don't have him tied
We can
yet.
actually make we can make Oscar a group administrator. I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay, Oscar, if you want to refresh your browser by either Control R or Command R if you're on a Mac, or you can click the refresh next to the URL. And now if you push enter, you should see.
Yep, that worked. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I think for training documentation purposes, I think we need. Do you have an idea of when you think you might be able to get to those groups? Is that like
I have the
this
groups
week?
configured. It's just
Oh,
getting them tagged to the actual artifacts. So that'll probably happen on probably tomorrow afternoon.
okay. So
But
Sarah
yeah,
will set you up like Monday, early next week. We'll get you access to those bucket groups.
Okay.
yeah. So Oscar, if you type in your name, should be there. It's going back to report an artifact issue. To create an issue, just create new issue. There would be a drop down of different issue types. So I could say artifact preview is incorrect, and then give the details. Noticed a preview error. And now that populates a register that during the admin training, I'll show all the administrators that register, and it's part of what the CSMs kind of help monitor as well. But it's a way for the general user to communicate with your administrators. Underneath the status and reported artifacts, you've got your preview. If I'm wanting to kind of blow up this preview to fit full screen, there's a sidebar arrow I can toggle, which will push those toolbars to the side. And then if I want to further make this full screen in the bottom right, I can toggle expand vertically as well. To zoom in on the preview, wherever my cursor is at, I can just use my scroll wheel, or if I'm on a touchpad, I can do 2 fingers up and down, and that'll scroll in and out. And then left click, hold, and drag to kind of pan around the preview. If I've zoomed in really, and I'm not really sure where I'm at, and I want to reset things, down in the bottom toolbar, there's the diagonal arrows. This will fit that preview back to the full screen. I'm wanting to zoom to scale. Got that option in the middle. And then if whatever device I'm on doesn't have those zoom shortcuts, then I can use the zoom in or zoom out icons. Then you see that star icon. So if I can favorite from the artifact page as well. And again, that'll pin it to my search page favorite section. To the bottom right of the preview, we've got our print icon. So printing in RedEye will actually print to PDF. And it does that because to start, it gives you the freedom to be able to determine which printer to send that file to. You can also adjust the scale when you print to PDF. So if you want to plot this to a larger size, you can print and then set the DPI to 300, and it will scale up in the resolution we retained. Additionally, RedEye will stamp anything that's been printed to PDF with a QR code. So if you want to see what that looks like, go ahead and click print. That'll bring up some properties. The QR code is not super large, it's quite small, but there is always a possibility of it covering a portion of your artifact. So you can determine which corner you want to apply that to. I'll go ahead and select top right for now. And then again, I've got that print quality. Then once I'm happy with those properties, I can click print. This will save that PDF to my default downloads folder. So it'll take a couple seconds, and then it'll be added, you'll see, to my downloads folder. during training, I'll actually open up that PDF. And if you've got the mobile application, if you've got that available to you, then you can actually demonstrate this QR code in action. So this QR code is there because anything that is exported or printed out of RedEye, you lose that security of knowing you're working off the latest version. So technically it could be updated in RedEye and you would be unaware because you would be working off of a physical copy. So the QR code works hand in hand with our mobile application. So you could, if you're unsure, if it's been like a week or two and you're unsure if you're working off the latest version, you could scan this QR code. And if that drawing version is out of date, RedEye will let you know. And then additionally, if you're responsible for doing a red line or a markup in the field, and you're doing that physically on a piece of paper that's been printed from RedEye, you could scan that file in and send it to, you'll see on the left-hand part of the screen, this brown@redeyedms.com email address. And then RedEye would use this QR code to locate the artifact in the system and then make that markup. It would upload that markup version and kick off the workflow. I think for your general users, you probably don't need to mention the markup piece unless you're expecting them to perform markups. You could just say that it's there for security purposes to validate whether you're working off the latest version or not. Now I can toggle this preview back to a smaller size and bring back the toolbars by clicking this gray X that's in the top right of the preview. That'll bring everything back to its default setting. In the right-hand part, I've got my metadata tab, which is showing me all of the metadata associated with this artifact. Now your general users, correct me if I'm wrong, won't be able to update metadata. Is that right?
Correct. Just searching.
Yep. So won't have to train on how to update it. And then if the user wants to see this artifact's history, then they can click the history tab. Now their training artifacts are probably only going to have 1 or 2 versions, but they can see it here. What we could do is I could change their workflows a few times for their training artifacts and then generate some history in there.
That should work.
Yep.
I think we'll go through it tomorrow during our advanced user session, but I really want to keep the approval process and the updating of metadata like super high level for these guys, just so that I know it's going to be a lot for them to take in that first couple of weeks.
Yep. So that kind of wraps up the artifact page. It's pretty short, simple at that point. The only other item I had was, couldn't remember, will these general users be responsible? Will they be using the markup tool at any point?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
really that'll be reserved for power users, our engineers.
Yep. So I'll have that in the advanced. The other one is collection tool. So we had covered off printing at an individual artifact level, but maybe less practical if a user is working off of a project or something. They might want to print multiple pages, multiple artifacts. So this is where I would take them back to the search page and briefly touch on the collection tool and really just focus on kind of two user use cases. So going back to search, clicking clear. Now, if there's a scenario where you need to print more than one artifact, yes, you could open up those artifacts one at a time and print them, but that can be quite, cumbersome. So If you would like to bulk print, you have the ability to do that on the search page by using the collection tool. So I'm just going to do a blank search. And then from here, you might have noticed in your bottom right of your screen, you've got this folder icon that's got a 0 next to it. And this is where your collection tool lives. It's kind of like your shopping cart for your engineering data. So anything that I want to do in bulk, I can add from my search results. There's a selection box next to each one of those results. I can click that selection box and it will add that artifact to my collection tool. And then I can go into my collection tool and you'll see I have a couple options here. I can click print, which will do a multi-page PDF, a single file, or I could choose to have those be a separate file for every artifact. So rather than doing them one at a time, I can print everything in my collection together. And I've got a few other options as well, including adding a transcript. So I could add a cover page, include some metadata fields. As well. I can scale it directly to A3. I can print separate pages. If there's markups that have been added in RedEye, I can choose to kind of disregard those. And then I can print that. So a little bit more efficient way to printing larger quantities of artifacts. The other option is
You said
export.
prints it all in one document.
I have the option, so I can print it. By default, it'll be all in one. Alternatively, there's this print as separate pages. So that would
People will want to
basically
choose, yeah, depending on what they're doing, they're going to want to toggle between that. That'll be important
Yep.
to call out. Some people may want to include everything in one document if it's for like a project proposal, or think about the stuff that you send to like project managers chat. A lot of times they're zipping that up and getting it over to a vendor or construction
Yeah.
company.
Drawing sets, you see that a lot where people, schematics for a piece of equipment or something. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The download latest approved will download, it'll basically, this processes the background. It'll send a notification to the email with a download link. And it's a zip file containing the latest approved version of those artifacts in a list. So a little bit different to the print. If the latest approved is a CAD file, it would include the CAD file. And then the other one is export. So this is where you would export your list to a CSV. So if I wanted to create an index sheet of all the artifacts that I've got in my collection, I could collect that to a CSV. It's quite nice for like an audit list, because it does include a URL to those artifacts in RedEye as well, or like a hyperlink. So you can see here I've got my artifact ID, a number. I've got all the metadata, the groups that this artifact's part of, the title, the status, all the data there. And then there's also this column C, which is a hyperlink. I've got some customers who they'll do an initial search and then they'll export to CSV and then just have that kind of available to them versus actually using the search engine.
Nice.
Yeah, when I have to do the zip files for project managers and external vendors, I create the report from Meridian as well.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like the same thing.
Yep.
It'll be nice that they're going to be able to do that it seems like a way more easily than it is today too.
And look, there's other actions, but with users, I guess they can favorite in bulk, but that's really the only other action that they can do as a general user. The rest of these will be here, but they're not going to be able to do it. It's going to say forbidden or, don't have permission. Um, and then that basically concludes the general user session. That's where I would have an open Q&A afterwards.
So my gut feeling, Sarah, is that we'll be able to do this in 90 minutes. I think it'll take us about an hour to do this training, because think about all the times we stopped to ask questions over the last 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That I think we try to hold as many questions till the end. We can get through most of this training in an hour with 15 to 30 minutes of Q&A. I think we can get the core training down to an hour with some Q&A at the end. What do you guys think? You think 90 minutes is going to be enough?
Looking at that, I lose interest anyway.
Yeah, after 90 minutes, people start to lose interest.
Yeah.
You really get about an hour with people, and then the people who want to stay and dive a little bit deeper with you, that they'll do that.
I think it also just depends on the size of the groups, Colin.
Yeah.
The only thing, Colin, is with the trades, they're going to be mostly mobile device centric. They have access to a couple of PCs in the shop, but
I think so. The way I'm planning on doing it, and I'm thinking through my project schedule, we'll want to do a PD&C training. We'll want to do a training for operations managers, supervisors, and leads. Hit as many of them as we can. And then that third training is a trades technician specific training. And there really only are, I don't know, 20 or 30 of these guys who are going to really use this thing out in the field. Div 3, some of the carpenters, the lock shop, the fire techs, some a handful of HVAC guys. Like it's not going to be day one like everyone's clamoring to get in there. Like think about how many people use Meridian today. There's a small subset, 20 or 30 people who want to really get in there and use it. That number will grow over time. And that training's only 30 minutes. All right. Like everybody download the app. We can have Will Band push it out to everybody's phones, as many as we can ahead of time. Get them logged in, show them how to log in, show them how to do a search, show them how to scan a QR code. They're off in 30 minutes. I don't think we're going to need a whole lot of time to do that.
okay.
But I wouldn't even show them the back office, Sarah, unless there's some people like maybe Manny or and again, he's a lead. Like I think the leads are going to really be the only ones who sit down at a computer and use this thing. You're muted.
You're on mute, Sarah.
Sorry, guys. My suggestion would be to, run with mobile and then after the fact, like actually utilize the mobile training to inquire, guys, which of you may on occasion sit at a desktop? And then that small group I'll meet with on my own after. But there's absolutely no reason to have that room full of folks. We'll lose them in a minute. So
keep it real basic. Show them the QR code, the mobile app, send them on their way. 30 minutes. I like that. This was great. Vince, really nice job, man. I think, if we can get these groups set up, if we can get our users staged. Chad, I'm sorry, I'm a little out of the loop. I've been stuck doing plan on stuff the last couple of days, but are there any questions you have around the revision consolidations that have been sent over, or do you feel like those are good enough to run with?
Yeah, I mean, I spot checked the spreadsheet. I've done multiple types of revisions. One that had like a handful, one that had like 10, one that had 20. They all look good. So
It make me have a big head.
Ship it, Vince. If
I'll do some additional checks in there just to make sure those that have like 30 or 40 scare me.
yeah,
So I go through those in great detail. But yeah, otherwise, then I'll basically assign the groups tomorrow afternoon, and then I'll create what we refer to as the payload for our ops team to finalize those consolidation sets. That'll happen um, hopefully next week, and then we'll be ready to promote. I'll do a final kind of cleanse and then promote. If you're only going to train on the mobile application, I need to do some verification on my end. The initial login for SSO, a long time ago, it used to require everybody to log in first on the web application. And then you could SSO in through the mobile application. So I just need to make sure that I and actually I don't know if any of you have a device that you want to just test it out. I can pop in the chat here. You're not going to have access to anything, but you can at least SSO in and see if it works at all. The name of the app is going to be just RedEye DMS. If you type in just RedEye in the App Store or Google Play, I don't know what would show up.
Vince, I have a BlackBerry. Is there a BlackBerry app for this too?
You still make those, Colin?
I'm just.
I was going to say,
Vincent was looking like, is he screwing with me? Or yes, he's messing with me.
awesome.
Like anybody much younger than me would be like, a what?
I know, I do know what those are.
Hey, no ageism around here.
Yeah. Like I have an
I didn't throw
HTC.
any numbers. I just said anybody much because they were phasing out as I was going. Yeah, like holy cow.
Look,
I
I've been
can.
referencing what Game Genie in some of the sessions. So
All right, sign
BlackBerry
in.
Pearl, right?
So I can do my my Brown login here, theoretically.
Yeah. You won't see anything when you log in. It might be like you don't have permission or something, but let's just see where it takes you.
It does say single sign-on enabled, and it is hitting me with
Okay.
a brown brown login. So yeah, I'm getting Duo.
What we also might want to test out is somebody who doesn't have an account yet.
Oh, it did give me an error. Please try again. After getting all the way through Duo, but I don't know if that's because
Okay.
our environment or our bucket's not live.
Yeah, it could be that you don't have like access to anything.
Mhm. It did seem to
So
get all the way through two-step
okay.
verification, though.
So I just don't know. That's something we'll probably need to test out ahead of time is um I could probably just verify that internally on my end.
We'll have a couple of weeks too. Like let's
Yeah.
say conservatively, I think would it be realistic to say that we're shooting for like next Friday as a soft go live date? That seem
No.
achievable, or the Monday after? Like when do you?
Yeah, it's the promotion of production because that's out of my hands at that point. So these are the next steps. I I tell CloudOps it's ready to consolidate the sets. They'll consolidate the sets. Then once that's done, then I tell my ops team, all right, now promote the environment to production. And that's got to be promoted to production. And that's kind of out of my hands. It gets triaged and assigned. I have tickets already in place,
Mhm.
but that process could take 2 weeks for it to be
Oh,
Yeah.
promoted.
okay.
So I
Yeah.
think more realistically it would be towards the end of the month before we have a ready for like a go live production environment.
Yeah. Why don't we go with like June 1st, Colin? Because everybody's going to be going crazy for commencement over the next couple of weeks anyway.
And anything we do in QA until June 1st will get migrated along. Is there like a cutoff date?
Correct.
Because like
Cutoff
there's
would
some things
be
that we want to archive. Like we have, we've got this YCAG 2.1 accessibility deadline hitting on Monday, the 11th.
mhm.
So I want to take like, for example, our construction standards. They're coming off our website, and we're going to need to stick them somewhere. And I think sticking them in RedEye in a construction standard group is probably going to be appropriate.
Yep.
Like
I
anything
could
we add
tell
now.
whenever I tell the ops team that we're ready to promote, that would be the cutoff for you to stop doing. And you can keep doing stuff. There's a possibility it won't get migrated across
Okay.
depending on when you do it. So I would say you have probably a 2 week window before we do that.
Okay.
Can you uh, can you just shoot us, Colin and I, and or this group, an emails, just as a heads up, letting us know when that date will be?
Yep.
Or okay,
Yeah, we could probably set that. So this is, so we have next week's the week of the, get my dates.
11th.
So, oh, I'm in June. That's why. I'm okay,
Ah,
guys. I'm okay. All right. So next week, theoretically, revision consolidation complete. Then remote to production. So I would say anything, your cutoff day would be May 22nd.
Okay.
okay.
And then with a soft go live, you think June 1st or the week of the 25th? You think it takes a week or two? Because I think we would want to
Yeah,
probably start training that first week of June, which means we'd need to be live, the week before that, if at all
yeah.
possible.
So I can put it down to have a go live on May 27th.
That
And then,
Wednesday.
yeah, to have it in production. And then I'll be told if that's not possible. And I'll share that
Okay.
with you.
Yeah, I think as long as we can have a few days to get in, do some final validations, make sure everything looks good.
Yep.
Maybe we schedule trainings for like that middle of that next week, like the 3rd or something, Sarah. Do the PD&C training the 3rd, hit operations the week after, hit the trades technicians the 3rd week.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with PD&C, early on, but um, you know, although commencement's over, the impact on ops is
Mm-hmm.
for a couple weeks after the fact. So, if we want to have their attention at all, I wouldn't hit them up until at least the second week of June.
Yeah, Sarah, I can also see the PNC group maybe having two or three different sessions because not everybody's going to make one session.
I do think that smaller and more intimate is better.
Right.
It behooves us to work through it that way rather
And we
than
also,
having a large group, folks that have questions that don't ask them, and then we end up having to revisit with everyone anyway. So,
right.
And you get
Yeah, and
recordings
as you
too.
guys all know, training is not a one-time thing,
right.
you know. So I can see the
Yeah.
slight smirk on Vincent's face. He knows that I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah, and like we discussed, Sarah, in our one-on-one we had, we need to make sure that the upper management makes these training sessions also.
Correct. That buy-in is incredibly important to our success. So, for me, and I'm so sorry that my attention, no one feels more guilty than a trainer who hasn't been able to pay her best level of attention. Um, but I am home now. And you were talking, Colin, about Vincent getting me set up, by Monday or Tuesday of next week. Is that so that I'm able to go in and work on content and practice myself? And is that what you were talking about? Because I heard you say
Yeah.
it, but I wasn't sure what you guys were discussing.
We're just waiting on some final like user groups to get created and staged. And then we're
Okay.
gonna send some invites like early next week, we think. That sound right,
Just
Vince?
the earlier I can get in and build my own comfort level, That'll be
Yeah, I
huge for
can I
me.
can invite you into the system now, and then you can just log in and you'll have the necessary access. So I'll share the
That would be
URL.
wonderful. I think I'm probably going to rewatch. I'm so glad we recorded this. Um, and if I'm able to log in, then I'm kind of a learn by doer. I like to kind
Yep,
of be following along with my hands. So if we could do that, that'd be great.
absolutely.
And my
Are
kid's
you
okay, everyone,
good?
if you're
Good.
wondering.
Good.
She's gonna be fine. Out of work for a few days. If you could see the size of the truck that hit her.
Was it a
Unbelievable.
corporate truck or like a commercial truck?
It was no, I think it was owned by a company. The guy was in construction, but it was one of
Ooh.
those massive like 450 type trucks with like the extra steel um fenders, and it was hauling a load of logs.
Oof.
It
So it
sounds to
just
me
couldn't
like
it couldn't slow down to not hit her.
she's got
Yeah.
some what is it? What do they call it?
Evidence.
Yeah, I think she might have some pain and suffering to go after here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Uncle
So
Colin says.
yeah, get you. I make sure she gets checked out. I know her neck's probably killing her right
Yeah, so that's what we just did, and the doctor thinks she'll be hurting for the next few days, but telling Uncle Colin how you're feeling. Okay. Anyway, welcome to the family, Vincent.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm getting university emails. I feel like I'm part of it. I'm almost
Yeah.
ready to add it to my resume.
All we need to know
So,
is the name of your pets, and then you're in.
oh, I don't have any. I have one, and she's got two
Ooh.
legs, 4.5-year-old
Oh,
named
oh, how
Kenzie,
old?
4.5.
Oh, good Lord. Have fun, Papa.
She's a blast. I've
Yeah, it's a good
so
time.
we don't have production right now, but I've added you to the test environment. I put this URL in the chat.
Okay,
If you
great.
go there and then enter your Brown University email, you should be able to log in and have. I've given you just it's called bucket user access. It's not administrative. I did it on purpose so that way there's as least amount of buttons that don't appear on your other users page. If you require
Excellent.
admin access, I have no problems granting that as, if the team's okay with it. But I figured if you're going to be demonstrating your screen, it makes sense for it to look as similar to your general users as possible.
Without a doubt, that is what I want. So I'm
Okay, of
logging in right now. I'm in. Okay. This is fantastic. Thank you.
course.
Now, how is this going to work, Colony? So Sarah's going to be the instructor, and then at least one of us will also be in attendance to give extra support to slow learners or whatever.
That's the
I will always
plan.
want one of you, Chad, because you are more acclimated to the questions that they're going to have. You know, like you have that muscle memory with Meridian and the problems that they face, and where I'm not comfortable in that arena. So I feel like I'm more of like a campaign manager, right? Just sort of emceeing the show. And
Right.
then I definitely won't want to do it without a really technical person with me.
Okay.
Okay. You know, it doesn't have to be both of you at the same time, but always one of you.
All right.
Okay.
I am also attaching this guide. I'm sending that through now that you can use, reference, have it as a starting point to update from,
I love that, Vincent. Thank you.
of course. All right. That should be in your inbox in
Awesome.
Awesome.
just a few seconds. And then I will tweak for tomorrow. It won't be as long. I need to make a couple updates based on a conversation today, but I'll have a similar guide as well
Awesome.
and go from there.
Yeah, like tomorrow, uploading documents, changing metadata, some of the advanced
Yeah.
features, and then I think
For
if we can
your
have a, oh, Go ahead.
I was just thinking for your advanced groups, I don't know if we discussed this before. Usually we would do a general and then we would that would be required for everyone. And then the advanced user would have a second session focused on
Part
advanced.
two.
Yeah. Um, I guess depending on what the advanced users are going to be doing, are they going to be doing that part of that O&M review process? Okay. So then
Yes.
you'll want that to
Okay.
be a second separate session then.
Yep. That will be, the first session will be like, here's how you get in, here's how you do the basic stuff that we talked about today. Session 2 will be uploading, doing the O&M review. And Sarah
Okay.
will want a few different trainings, like the PD and C admins will just be uploading, changing metadata. But the John Mackey, really just John Mackey. Chris is not going
Yeah.
to initiate reviews, even though he should be. But John Mackey, that role of an O&M approver will want a second training for him.
Yeah, we don't want to have folks sitting in on something where it's not important to them. It's not part of their wheelhouse. They're
Yeah,
not going to absorb what they actually need to if half
not
of
at
it is
all.
discussing things they never do. So I'd rather give more trainings that are separated out than, yeah, that's totally fine.
So in
So
tomorrow with that in
tomorrow is
mind,
more of like a power user vibe.
yep,
Okay. And that gives
exactly.
having them attend both, like rather than trying to couple the general with the advanced, like if you just don't have those folks go to the first one, I think having them go to the first one as a general gives them a little bit of muscle memory. They'll go in, they'll look around, they'll mess with it a little bit before they go to that second session, and they'll have a little familiarity. Um, rather than trying to throw it all at them at once.
Agreed. So tomorrow I'll have it fairly like modularized out. There'll be I'll have like an uploading section, groups management section, and then you can use that to build out, if you're going to have this user group is only going to be
Yeah,
need to know how to do uploading privileges and updating metadata, but they're not going to be part of the workflow. Take that chunk out, that's part of it. And you can
right.
kind of, choose your own adventure and build out your own
Yeah.
agendas
I
for.
thought your even your agenda today, just the way you had it bullet pointed out, I was like, I'm gonna completely rip that off and
Yeah, by all
this is
means.
gonna be my training.
Absolutely. Sounds good to
So
me.
that is shared out, right? The any notes you had were
Yep.
sharing today. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I
Yeah, we
shared
have
that. If
a
you have any, go
yeah,
ahead.
we have a folder for the RedEye project, Sarah.
Okay, can you make sure that I'm in on that? Thank you.
You talking about the SharePoint?
Yeah.
Yes. Add you. Because I don't have that file in there yet.
We'll put as much as we can into Google Drive too, Sarah, so that we own it.
Just think, would Sarah want to plagiarize? And the answer is always yes. So put
I
it in.
think I think that the notes that Vince is sharing with us, as well as the recording of this session, I want to load into a Notebook LM and have it build a little knowledge base out of this.
Oop,
Actually,
you're gonna have to cut out the Caroline Vitale portion. I'm sorry
I
about
wonder
that.
if that stuff would show up. Yeah, that's a good question. What are you
and
gonna
at
say,
some
Chad?
and at some point they should be uploaded to RedEye.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Yes. Yes. Yep.
as part of that training and onboarding group, like the
Yeah.
idea, Sarah, is that people log in for the first time. We haven't given them permissions yet to anything.
Yeah.
They're gonna hit like just a simple video that says, "Here's how you log in. Here's who you contact to get the right access."
Oh, that's excellent. Nice. So it'll be kind of like right on the homepage for them, or
I think it'll be the only thing that shows up if you're
and they're
not
gonna
in
have
there.
to like kind of
They'll have to push search.
go through that exercise before they're allowed in. Is that what you're saying? I like that a lot.
I think so. I think that's the plan.
All right, just
You should
shared
probably
the
be
folder
thinking
too.
about how to track this, you guys, too. Who, like to keep track of who completed their red eye training.
Mhm.
I almost wish we could do that in Workday.
I was just
But
thinking that. I think we can do
yeah.
that in Workday. It should be a Workday module. So should plan on. So should, these other things. Yeah.
Let me see
let's
if I could figure that out in time. If I could, that might be it might be a nice inaugural training to have people check off through Workday that they have completed it. Maybe it's not that big a deal to set up.
everything's a big deal in Workday.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't
Good
know who I'm
luck. You
kidding.
could try. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay.
I give you a gold star if you can get that done in 3 or
Yeah,
4
right.
weeks.
Well, don't doubt me, Colin.
It's not you. I doubt it's the Workday
I
team.
know. I know.
Well, I think
All
we're in
right.
good shape. This is a great training. Thank you, Vince, and thank you, Rob, Oscar, Chad, Sarah. Thank you guys for spending some time. I think
Yeah.
this will be easy to train. So at least this part. I think people can pick this up real easily.
Thank you all. I'll see you. Is it bright and
See you
early
tomorrow.
11 a.m. for us. We'll see you in the morning.
All
All
right.
right. See you tomorrow, guys.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
All right, take
Bye.
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.